LOS40.
Going to a Rosalía show and going to a Kendrick Lamar show, you walk out feeling like you just left the whole world. And that's how I feel about Rosalía as an artist. I feel like she just challenges me to push my boundaries and try to think outside the box a little more. Probably I'm an aspiring musician who dances and sings and I feel like writes a lot of poetry and stories and just tries to tell stories through music. Not at all. Greedy was actually quite the battle to get to the point where it was in its final version. It took a lot of work and editing and production changes for me to even feel like it was truly mine and to feel like it was like my sound. So I think when I released it, it was kind of just a shot in the dark. I had no idea how people were going to interpret it or if they were going to like it. I mean, TikTok is a huge part of the music industry right now. So obviously, like, I'm very grateful that people are using my music and making trends out of it, and to watch it go global is just like the coolest thing to see. I mean, I think being in the music industry, it's such an ebb and flow with numbers and, you know, people listening to you and what's going on in your life. It is a constant roller coaster. So I think it's just like not hyper focusing on the best parts, not hyper focusing on the worst parts, just trying to put the art first always and, you know, make sure that you're taking care of yourself mentally. I think on either side of the spectrum, if you were to like really narrow in on one thing, it would drive you crazy. I think once I started getting into the music industry a little more seriously at age like 18, 19, I started to realize that like I started to figure out in my head what kind of performer I wanted to be. And I was like, how do I incorporate dance in all of this? And it was such an ongoing battle for me to try and figure that out. And I feel like in the last like 6 months, I've really gotten to put the two together and be able to dance in my performances. And it's just been like a dream come true. I feel like for my last album, which felt a little more, had a lot of down tempos and ballads, I really wanted to make sure that this album just had like bops and things that I could hear when I went out and things that I could dance to. And that was a massive priority for me when I walked into the studio every day. I think there's a difference between like a regular concert and then like a concert that kind of transforms your life a little bit and makes you look at things a little bit differently. And I think obviously those are like the greatest artists. Like I'm going to a Rosalía show and going to a Kendrick Lamar show, you walk out feeling like you just left the whole world. And that's how I feel about Rosalía as an artist. I feel like she just challenges me to push my boundaries and try to think outside the box a little more. I just constantly feel very inspired watching her videos and how she puts together her albums and the sonics of her albums. I just really think that she's got a very cool brain to learn from. So I really admire her. We're in the process of the next couple of weeks figuring out what the shows are going to look like and feel like, and the conversations are just starting now. But obviously it's going to be such a fun time performing the new album for the first time. Unbelievable. I just think it's so crazy when your song goes big in another place that feels so far away and feels so foreign. It just feels very shocking when your music translates that much. I think I just feel very blessed and excited to come see you guys and perform that song for everyone. I released my first EP, I was 16, and I was still living back home in Canada. So now I live in LA and I feel like music is my whole life now. It doesn't just feel like a side hustle. It feels like it's my job and my everything and my passion, and so it very much like consumes all of me, and I feel very grateful that this is like my life now. But I mean, 16 to 20 is like the biggest jump in yourself as a person and your values and how you want to live your life. So I think obviously like my whole world has shifted. I mean, I don't think it's too different from Canada. I think coming out here, obviously, like everyone's trying to do something in the performing arts space. So I think that's the interesting part, is like everyone you meet is in the same world as you. I think it's just keeping focused on what you really like and your your interests, because I feel like it can be easy to get a wandering eye and maybe swerve off into the wrong path. So I think it's just, keeping your integrity of why you started doing this in the first place.
Suscríbete y entérate de todo.